Hey, what's going on, everybody? JR Express here. Hope everybody's had a good day or a good night, wherever you're at and watching from wherever your location is. Today I'll be going over two articles expressing my thoughts and opinions over two articles regarding our financial, relevant to our financial well-being. Uh, the first article from the Daily Mail, America's 401k shame. 401k crisis. Half of workers lack access to an employer-sponsored retirement plan. Uh, about 56% of American workforce, or around 69 million people, do not have access to an employer-sponsored retirement plan. So basically, this means 56% of American workers don't have access to a 401k. They may have access to some sort of retirement plan outside of their uh, employer-sponsored or employer. But as far as as far as the actual workforce only has 56% of 401ks. Um, 33% of people in Florida have access to a workplace plan, whereas 58% of people in Iowa do. I mean, some states have more than others. I think California and Florida and Connecticut, I believe, are the three states with the lowest percentage of people on some sort of retirement plan with their employer. Um, Retirement readiness of Americans is also determined heavily by income. So the article goes on to say that people that earn higher wages are more likely to be or found to be in a retirement plan compared to people that have low wages. Um, but still, I mean that shouldn't really deter anybody from having some kind of retirement plan. Meaning investing. Investing should be on everybody's mind. And if you have a job, you should be putting some money to the side and should be investing into, you got stocks, uh, real estate, and whatnot. And there's like so many videos and all kinds of articles and material online that you could look over and research, in order to um, apply some of those things to your investment portfolio. Then going on to talk about the low income workforce, only 30% of low income workforce, those earning less than 37,000, um, they have access to a 401k. And I mean, this is either because the company that they're working for, maybe their company's not offering them benefits to where a 401k is included, or a 401k just doesn't exist at all for the company. Um, I know I used to know somebody who used to work at McDonald's as a manager, and they had benefits and everything through McDonald's. Some employees at McDonald's that have been there for a while have a benefits plan with 401k, medical benefits and whatnot. Um, but outside, I mean, other companies, I mean, low wage workers, I mean, 37,000 a year. It depends on your standard of living. I mean, I don't. It depends on how you're living. I know 37,000. I know in states like California and whatnot is going to be very difficult to make a living, unless you live with a bunch of roommates or if you live with family, which isn't a bad idea, especially if you're young, you're trying to get up on your feet. It's a good way to save money, because you got to think about it. Our biggest expense is our living expense and our transportation expense. And if you are in a $37,000 salary, honestly, I mean, it's not recommended that you drive a car, especially an expensive one with the high insurance rates. Yeah, definitely don't have a new car. And then as far as your living arrangements goes, the best way to go would probably, either living with family or living with roommates. You get those two things out of the way, everything else isn't really that bad, and you should be able to save money. It also depends on family as well. It depends on, if you have kids and whatnot, it makes it more difficult. Um, but it's tough out there, but it can be done. On top of that, only 1 in 10 low-income households have any money saved into a retirement, compared to 1 in 5 back in 2007. So yeah, I mean, and then try to see if you could find roommates. This is where people on low wages. The way I look at it is, if you're, if I could go back, this is how I would have done it, back when I was younger and was making a low wage, working at a grocery store, before figuring out what I wanted to do with my life. If I could go back, I would have definitely, the cost of living. I mean, that I was living with my family, but I've always wanted to drive nice cars. Had a brand new car back when I was young, and pretty much my entire paycheck, went to the new car. And that was a big mistake, because it left me with no money at all. And when I went out with friends, I would end up going overdrafting my bank account, So, and I couldn't figure out what was going on, why did I never have any money, and do I need to work harder at work? And I was just, just pretty much wasting energy, and I was getting mentally drained and really not getting ahead anywhere in life, money wise, or in life period. But once I changed my mindset, once I started researching money and studying and getting better at finances, that's when I was able to figure something out. And basically I was able to get back on my feet and finally move forward, from all the downfalls that I had with my finances. So, that's the best way to start. Look at your housing, look at your transportation, see where you're at in those two areas. Um, if you're paying too much for either one, you probably need to either change your living arrangements, or you need to sell your car and maybe get something cheaper, or find other ways to get to work. Um, like I said, it all depends on what your situation is. So you know, yeah. Moving on from retirement. Speaking of retirement, let's talk about the next article we're going to look over is Social Security. And in this article, it talks about, you know, especially if you're watching this video, you're young, and you're trying to figure out your retirement and saving situation. This next article is going to talk about Social Security. And Social Security is going to be one of those things for a lot of, younger folks, even older folks. If you're starting late, you should hopefully be making more wages, higher wages, than most younger people. And you could get ahead, you could also start somewhere, investing, and then you also changing your living and transportation arrangements and improving your finances there. But we shouldn't have to depend on Social Security, is what I'm trying to say, is my point. This is what this next article is going to talk about, where, basically it discusses how certain people depend on Social Security as the only retirement that there is, when we shouldn't be thinking that way, because it's that mindset again of, someone can provide for me, someone can take care of me. I mean, we should be thinking that way. We should already be responsible for our own finances. And, because at the end of the day, we're the ones that are managing our finances and no one else is. So, um, let's look at that article now. 3/4 of 50 and older adults worry that Social Security will dry up. Are they right? Well, let's go ahead and check it out. A survey shows 3/4 of US adults over 50 believe Social Security will run out of money in their lifetime. A recent report by the Social Security trustees showed that the trust fund will run out of money by 2034 unless lawmakers take action. If the fund runs out, Social Security benefits could still be paid at 80% of their current level. I mean, this is one of those things that we shouldn't really be too concerned about, if as long as we're doing the right thing and we're saving for retirement, on our own, either by Roth IRAs or 401ks or whatever the case may be. Moving on, indeed, the Social Security Trust Fund will run out of money by 2034. If nothing changes, according to the estimate earlier this year by Social Security trustees. That's worrying news for retirees, considering that 50% of people age 65 or older live in households where more than half of their income comes from Social Security benefits, and a quarter live in those where more than 90% of income is Social Security benefits. The other 25% of the 50 have income from other sources. It could either be real estate, whatever, other pensions, And then the other 25 that it's talking about here, the other quarter, live in those where more than 90% of income is Social Security benefits. The other 25% is depending on 90%, so pretty much the entire Social Security benefit for their daily living, as a retiree. And that's, I don't know, that's tough. You know, if both parties are receiving Social Security, it still makes it a little difficult to, live a decent living. Like I said earlier, hopefully their transportation and their housing is paid off. Then if that's the case, then depending on their lifestyle, um, you know, how they spend their money, what their expenses are, then maybe it's possible. But like I said, it's living on the edge, man. You are living on the edge. It's just not comfortable. That's, I just don't see it as being comfortable. You want to have a nest egg. You want to live in abundance. You want to ensure that you have plenty of money in case of an emergency. An emergency fund. And people that are depending on 90% of Social Security, that's benefits are paid by a 6.2% tax. This is how it's paid. Most workers are being they are paying 6.2%. 6.2% of tax is taken out of their paychecks. If you're self-employed, it's 12.4. And from 82 to 2020, this was more than enough for benefits to go into the fund to generate generated interest. Therefore, it made the pot big enough to support everybody in the future. But now with a lower birth rate and aging population, um, means that every year there are fewer workers to support each retiree, and that hurts Social Security finances. Um, in 2022, it paid out only 22 billion more than it took in. So it seems like now, since 2022 and so forth, every year it's going to be less and less that's going to be paid into the program compared to what's being taken out for retirees. Right now, baby boomers are living longer. There's more retirees out there, so therefore more is being paid out than what it's being paid in, just due to the fact that we're having less and less workers going into the system. Maybe there's people out there that aren't, maybe do work or self-employed or not paying into the system. Who knows? It could be all kinds of factors. If the fund ran out, the program could continue to pay benefits, but the checks would only be 80% of what they are now. Man, we go to work. We shouldn't be going to work, saying, oh, I'm just going to work, and I work for my paycheck. I can spend it all because I'm going to have Social Security in the future. My grandma lives off Social Security. I'll be able to live off Social Security. This isn't the case, just because, I mean, the way things are going right now, things are more expensive. Um, right now, we're probably living in the most expensive era we ever lived in. So um, this is where we need to kind of like adapt and basically change things up a little bit, be more creative with our money, be smarter with our money, just due to the fact because of the times that we're living in. And it's even if inflation goes down in the future, rates go back down and everything goes back to normal, you know, um, things are still things are still going to be expensive because there's a new normal out there. There's a new price that's set now for everything, for all our goods and services. So it's always going to be expensive. And it always has been, you know. It's just now, now we just live the way I say I've stated it. I've described it to some of my friends. We just live in it's like an avalanche, that's rolling down the mountain, and now we're all going for the ride in a bigger, you know, in a bigger ball of snow that's rolling down the mountain, and we're living, we're going about our lives just like we always have, like we always, from our grandparents down to us. The only difference is that we live in a more expensive environment, you know, that demands more of our money, and it's difficult, but this is where we need to have some discipline. This is where we need to be creative. We need to come together with family members and friends, to figure things out. Because it's tough to do it out there by yourself. So you got to find family, friends that'll get some people, establish relationships with people, and then, that establishing relationships can open all kinds of doors, jobs, moving on to, if you're in a job that you don't like, move on to another job, just by meeting people, by knowing people, if you're having trouble and your living situation too expensive, or apartment's too expensive, or anything like that, or you live in a house, um, you want to get rid of it, sell it, move to a different job, move to a different location, find some, those relationships that you've established, move in with somebody, got to be creative, man. I mean, we can't sit around and just, wait for somebody to give us money or help us out. I mean, we have to act, we have to um, figure it out because that's what it's going to take. And trust me, it works. I mean, I've had to figure it out the last 10 years and hope, yeah, I mean, it's been going okay for me. I'm living okay. So, I didn't think there was going to be anything for me. I didn't have a chance either. I was in debt, uh, out of my eyeballs, almost 10 years ago. I thought I was done, but no, there's a way out. Just gotta have to be creative, talk to people, find mentors, find people that you can trust, and get out of it, and just stay disciplined. Let's quit spending our money on meaningless things and focus on our future and our savings. All right, so if you like the video, give it a thumbs up, and yeah, I'll see you in the next one. Thanks, everybody.